Good morning, entrepreneurs. You are tuned into the Non-Corporate Network, the worldwide leader in entrepreneurship. You are watching Entreprenews. My name is Chaz Vandemotter.
Dustin Trout.
And whether you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, watching us on Facebook Live, we appreciate you being here with us. This is a show where we debate the top 6 trending small business headlines. We each give our takes, 3 minutes each per story. Hard-hitting, better than CNBC. Dustin, anything you want to add?
Nope, hit the nail on the head. I say it's Monday. Let's dive right in.
Let's kick it off. Okay, so our first story, Microsoft announced this past week that they will be getting rid of Internet Explorer. Bummer. I've been using Internet Explorer since I was 7 or 8 years old. And then I turned 9. According to the announcement, the web app for Microsoft Teams will stop supporting the most recent version of the browser. So they're really kicking this thing out. There's a new player in town. I'm looking, I think it's called Edge.
Yeah, Microsoft Edge.
Microsoft Edge will replace Microsoft Explorer. This kind of reminds me of, Google versus Google Chrome. And so I think we're seeing a little bit of that. Obviously, Microsoft has a bit of a foothold in the search game with Bing. Is this going to cause some market share shifts from Google to Microsoft, Dustin, in terms of the search game?
Nope, I don't think so at all. I mean, it's even though you're rebranding it, you're not going to capture the attention of that younger demographic. I think, if anything, you might lose some because, typically the demographic that's using Microsoft is a little bit older. So if you change something, you might irritate your audience, your core audience that's actually using your product, and then they might go find other solutions like Google or Firefox or whatever that may be. So, but yeah, I don't see a younger demographic going, "Oh, see you later, Chrome. We're going over to Microsoft." And even then, I think, more people are searching on Amazon and Facebook and other channels, even outside of Google. So I think, overall search engines, as we see them today, there's going to be a shift overall, but I don't think Microsoft's going to be that one that's going to take over.
Yeah, there's some Microsoft snobs out there, where it's like they're at the cool kids table. And so I think that's kind of been how this has gone with Bing and Microsoft Teams. It's like if you use it, you love it. You talk how much you love it all day, but vast majority of people don't use it. And so it's kind of like one of those. I think it's interesting. I'd love to see Google get knocked off of their pedestal a little bit, especially with all of the probing of the data, where it's going, them being interviewed in Congress. They're doing all these shady things. And it's kind of like, well, we don't have anything to lose because no one's ever going to leave Google and go anywhere else. And so, I hope that Microsoft can come out of the woodwork and be a little bit more of a force here to, just try to give us another viable option besides Google.
Becoming a search giant, becoming a social media giant, taking over TikTok. There's a lot that's going on. Really the biggest thing that I see from Microsoft is the biggest thing I see people use Microsoft for or Internet Explorer is to download another browser. It's really, it's only used on that initial login. You log in and immediately go to Firefox or Chrome or whatever it may be.
Brave.com, basic attention token. Look it up, brave.com. They're actually going to compensate people for their attention when ads are served to them. So I'm going to get paid for my search browsing history.
You and you alone, Chaz.
Yeah, it seems like it's going up. It's going up. And our next story, TikTok confirms it will sue the Trump administration. TikTok confirmed Saturday that it will file a lawsuit over an executive order demanding parent company ByteDance divest its TikTok operations in the U.S. It's the first time a company has confirmed it will pursue legal action, a move that has rumored for several weeks. So TikTok clawing back, fighting back. We heard that Trump came out and said this is going to be banned by the end of September in the U.S. if there's not a domestic company that buys it. Handful of companies we talked about on here being interested, Microsoft, Oracle. Not really sure where that process is. This would obviously put a standstill on a sale of ByteDance. What are your thoughts, Dustin? What do you think is going to happen? Are there grounds for a lawsuit, and will they be able to go toe to toe with the U.S. government?
I mean, two different questions. Are there grounds? I mean, I don't know. It's the first time that, I mean, outside of what we've seen in Arizona and other states do is allow others to open and really dictate who can open business and who can't. This is the first time that, you know, the government has taken a precedence and said that a company cannot do business here, operate here. So, I mean, whether it's discrimination, I don't know. That's up to the courts and if they're going to hear it. But I think, you know, in terms of they're going to go toe to toe, I think it'd be a tough battle. I don't foresee the federal government ruling in their favor over what Trump is saying. I mean, it'd be a hard hit for politics. I think, you know, it'd be the laughing stock of quite a few people, considering we're the one that led the charge in banning TikTok. So I don't know. Do you think that they have grounds to for this lawsuit?
Yeah, I mean, you know, looking at it, it's tough, right? I think that this is it is kind of really a seize the business right out from under them. And so it's a dangerous precedent to set. But it also, I mean, you see two sides of it. One side is obviously like, hey, the U.S. government is going to, you know, control any foreign business that's doing business on their soil. But the other side is, you know, how are you going to let the government decide what happens if you stay open, if you don't? And, you know, TikTok has obviously had a lot of news about their kind of sus data collection policy. So I think this is really going to be an interesting thing to see, because the precedent is either going to be, yes, the government can close down businesses at their leisure, or no, they have to go through due process regardless of where they're based, what entity it is. And, you know, I think there's going to be downfalls on either front.
I think this is the biggest precedent since 9/11. I mean, really, you had the Patriot Act that was passed because, you know, homeland security and national security of people. And that's really what this is about. If they can shut it down, then they set a precedence of being able to decide what business can run or not based off of national security. Yeah, no,
this is... It's pretty tough, but you know, it's ironic that Mark Zuckerberg was very lucid in his arguments around why TikTok shouldn't exist. Yet we got a lot of runaround answers when it came time for the Antitrust Act. Okay, getting into our next story, our Arizona story. Hundreds of displaced bar workers rallied at the Arizona State Capitol on Thursday, asking for the governor to let them back to work. One of the main points in contention is the disparity in Arizona. Some bars are shut down while others are not, depending on the type of liquor license they hold and how much food they serve. The discrepancy behind the slogan and the loudest chant that was heard on Thursday, open one, open all. Dustin, should they open all if they open one?
Yeah, you either keep them all closed or you open them all. I mean, I'm so passionate about this because the government should not dictate who opens and who doesn't. It should be all of them or none of them. I mean, you have 4 different businesses. One can open, the other 3 can't. Why is that? And why should these 3 be, you know, not allowed to chase after their dream? I mean, that's the American dream. Open up your business and run with it. I mean, you know, open them all. That's where I'm at. If you're, you know, if you're at high risk or you're worried about going out, then just don't go out. But that shouldn't prevent a business from being allowed to be open. I mean, There's a difference between telling people that they can go out and telling a business they can stay open. I mean, it's yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you see from a government standpoint, they're really looking at this from like a risk analysis. Obviously, they opened and closed and open. We don't want to get really bad press, especially in Arizona. We've already gotten some bad press, and so I can understand that they're tiptoeing around this. And they look at it and go, you know, a bigger business, a more corporate established business, they have more to lose. They have more internal process, and they have more kind of risk analysis that they do internally. And so they have more capital. They've gotten more PPP loan to make sure that they're hiring the people that aren't sick. They're making sure they're buying the up-to-date equipment. They're cleaning everything thoroughly. I think those are the things that they look at and go, well, a bigger business is going to be more competent in those areas as opposed to a smaller business. And so I see that that's kind of what they're creating as that divide between who opens and who doesn't. But I mean, I would also argue that the smaller business probably needs to be open much more than the larger business does in terms of longevity and staying alive. And so it's tough. I hear you on open one, open all. But I think there's got to be some more rules in place. It can't be a reactionary thing. You've got to make sure that you're testing the people that work there, and everyone should go through the same testing protocol. So if there is a testing protocol that's laid out, I think everybody should be going through that. They should be able to open all the businesses.
Yeah, I mean, it's something needs to be done, because I mean, the way you're kind of describing it, it's the bigger business have things in place. They have the dollars to test. They have all that. I mean, basically what's being said is let big business thrive, while mom and pop, they don't know how to deal with it. So let's shut them down and ruin their livelihood, which I don't think that's I'm
not saying shut the businesses down. I'm saying that's how they're looking at it.
Sounds like Chaz is chanting big business down with mom and pop.
Okay. I have been a very staunch supporter of small business, and I see how the government is handling this.
Real Chaz is coming out, episode 50.
Hey, I see how the government is handling
51,
this.
Sorry.
Oh my
gosh. I got corrected by the producer.
Well, before we get into our next story, we want to mention that we are powered by State 48. And yes, Chaz, the small business supporter, supports State 48 in their mission to really bring awareness to amazing causes. They do a lot of really cool partnerships with nonprofits, as well as businesses like the Diamondbacks, like ASU. Unfortunately, they work with U of A as well. Dustin, do you have anything you want to mention?
Nope. Awesome business. Doing a lot for the community, doing a lot for small business. Check them out, state48.com. So as we head into our next story, staying on to small business, Hulu has launched a self-service ad platform in order to help small businesses. So before, you had to work with an account manager. You had to have a minimum of about $100,000 a month in spend in order to serve ads on Hulu. So they're trying to open up for small business. You can do stuff such as branding campaigns. You can target based off of interest, location data. So there's stuff that you can do to target. They've even partnered up with a creative agency where if you need help producing the creative, you can go through them. You can get the creative produced, run ads through Hulu, through self-service. Boom, you are now on TV. Really, my question is, it's still, their minimums are still going to be around 10 grand a month. I mean, it's come down quite a bit. The cost of producing the creative obviously it varies based off of what you're looking to do, but I'd assume you're looking at least a $20,000, $30,000 bill. All that being said, is this really for small business, or could these dollars be used better elsewhere? Chaz, I'll kick it to you.
It's too expensive, man. And I think there's a problem in how we view small businesses. I bring this up all the time. A small business in my eyes is a 3 million or less business, maybe a 5 million or less business. And we're looking at small business as $100 million companies. That there's such a phase difference between how a small business of 5 million or less runs compared to a $100 million a year business. And so when we talk about small business, I mean, I just don't see it. A small business is not going to pay 10 grand a month in branding for ad creatives. I think, and that's what this is. I think that a small business, their best bet is going after something that is a little bit more friendly when it comes to a buyer journey, call to action, taking them from Facebook directly to the website. I think because the nature of the game of television advertising, there's no clear-cut calls to action. There's no getting somebody to go from point A to point B. And so if you're looking for direct ROI right now, unless you're making a lot of money, if you're making 5 million or less, I think that Facebook is still a great place, YouTube, and Google pay-per-click.
Yeah, and I still love the branding side that Hulu offers. I mean, there's something to be said when someone sees a brand on TV, they immediately think they're much bigger than what they really are, and it immediately creates that trust. Sure. Whether you buy directly through Hulu, I think it's a good play, but I think you can go through a programmatic vendor like Choozle or the Trade Desk, where part of your media could be placed on Hulu, where you have more robust targeting. But to your point, the direct response piece of it, you would miss through Hulu. There are other platforms where when someone sees the video, you can then retarget them with other ads, like banner ads or whatever it may be, to create that direct response awareness. Yeah. But yeah, I think to your point, it's, I mean, I don't know what the costs are of this creative agency, but yeah, I'd assume that they're pretty big ticket bills, and overall there's probably a better way to spend that spend that marketing budget.
Facebook went the same way, right? They went the same way. It started as programmatically, you were able to buy ad space, and so I'm sure the writing is on the wall for a lot of these places like Hulu. Make our own, get out of the programmatic game, and now there's walls to enter.
Yep. So going on to our next story. So Apple or Tesla shares for $1. That's what fractional shares are. Essentially, apps like Robinhood and Stash and other apps, you can essentially buy stocks fractionally, meaning you can invest into Apple at $5, $10 rather than buying a whole share. You can buy $5 stock of Tesla rather than spending, what is it, $2,000, $1,500, whatever that may be. And really, before this, what you had to do is invest into ETFs, where they then distribute the money how they want to between all the different stocks within that ETF. But really, this is opened up the stock market to the middle and lower class even. Really, there's a lot of people saying that this is propping the stock market up because you've allowed a ton of investors to spend $5, $10 on a share. Ultimately, everything's overpriced because of that. So, these fractional stock exchanges, I guess, or apps, are they good for society? Are they propping the stock market up and we're artificially inflated? Or what are your thoughts on?
Obviously, they're propping the stock market up. We're better than we have. The Dow is performing better, and like the S&P is performing better than before COVID. Obviously we're propping the stock market up. And this is the biggest thing to blame is apps like Robinhood that make it easy for people that are struggling, that want to be making money, to be able to have a vessel to do that. Because what is the alternative? You go put your money in a savings account at the bank and make 0.05% interest. You go tie it up in an IRA or something, make, 0.05% interest. Like this is the best way for people to make money right now. And it's because more and more people are throwing money into the ecosystem. So I think it's sad to say, but it's very clear to me that the middle and lower class are funding the wealth gap to further separate us from, corporate businesses to small businesses. And that is a huge risk. And I think that the more that we continue to do this, the more we continue to permutate, buy $1 of Tesla stock, the more that we're going to continue to put small businesses out of business.
Yeah, I kind of take the other stance for it. I see this as being a huge economic boom because now you're creating, let's say there was a market cap of $1 trillion of people that actually invested. Because of this, now there's $7 trillion. So you have a huge influx of cash that's being invested into companies that have a good track record of taking $1 and turning it into 10. And so with that, you're giving a huge cash influx to some of these big businesses that have spent billions on R&D, which then are going to come with solutions, technology that make a world a better place. Essentially,
and buy every other business.
That could be it. But even with this, now this allows the opportunity for smaller business to get more investment because they can be bought and sold on Robinhood as well. I mean, come up with a good campaign to say why they should invest. I mean, you got to
IPO to get on Robinhood. They ain't never going to get there.
Well, I guess only time will tell. So. Going on to our final story here in Arizona. So Amazon is expanding rapidly over in Goodyear. So they're opening up a fourth facility that's all going to be around technology and robotics. Going to be making product as well. It's going to employ more than 1,000 full-time employees. And the crazy part is the 4-story facility is going to be about 2.3 million square foot. It's around 40 football fields. By 2021, Amazon will be the biggest employer within Goodyear, employing about 3,000 citizens over there. And right now, through the Census Bureau, they're actually the 14th fastest growing city. And so we have Amazon that's expanding. Grubhub has moved their headquarters here. We have Nikolai that's headquartered here. I mean, lots of tech that is moving here, that is headquartered here. I mean, in the next couple of years, is Arizona going to be the next Silicone Valley?
Well, I'm not going to say that. And I'm not going to, I mean, you go to Silicon Valley, you don't see 2 million square foot Amazon warehouses right in the middle of town. So I think more than that, it's that these corporate businesses are understanding that it is much more inexpensive to operate in areas outside of California. And so let's buy the real estate, as much of it and as cheap as we can, and create footholds in, lower cost to operate areas. So, I mean, yeah, it's great for our economy, brings, more jobs, it brings more revenue, but, it's hard because I also look at this and go, these big 5 S&P 5 companies are just going to continue to thrive in this ecosystem that we're in, continue to buy up more and more real estate. They're buying all the JC Penney's and everything else. And so, what's to stop them from just continuing to buy everything until it's one of the 5 companies owns every single thing and we're all employed by them. And then we get into some 1984 crap. So that's kind of where my dystopian mind goes.
Innovation will come up, and I think something will be done to break up those companies. But in terms of Arizona becoming the next Silicon Valley, I think it's definitely possible. I mean, as you mentioned, 2 million square foot facility, pretty much. I mean, we have the land, and more and more people, I think, are opening their eyes and seeing that maybe we can't have 100% of our supply chain and production being in China. We need to bring stuff back. Arizona, the land is cheap. I mean, the taxes are low compared to California. I think that poises us in a great position to welcome major companies to be headquartered here. I mean, granted, they are big companies, and I would love for small business to thrive more. But I mean, if it's going to happen, I'd rather happen in our backyard, employing more Arizonians. And
well, I just don't know if they're going to be employing or unemploying these people because, again, it's a warehouse and 80% of that warehouse is autonomous. And I'm sure it's going to get up to 95% of the warehouse being autonomous. So
still 3,000 jobs compared to none.
Yeah, well, 2 million, the 3,000 jobs. I don't know if all 3,000 jobs are going to be around. Plus, it probably should be closer to 10,000 jobs in a facility like that for a traditional warehouse. So obviously, they're going to continue to push them out. Just keep pushing them out at Amazon until you're making robots that you hire. That's what they're going to be doing, man.
Flippy. Making burgers for the robots in the warehouse.
They're making robots right now to carry around all the stuff in the warehouse. You don't need people. They just have autonomous drone forklifts driving around. I digress. I've been watching too much sci-fi. I've been watching too much sci-fi lately, apparently. I think it's interesting seeing Internet Explorer die. RIP, pour some out for Internet Explorer. Using that back in 5th grade, it was great then. And yeah, now it's the most irrelevant thing ever. So I think it's just funny to see how quickly we're kind of shifting our preferences as people as it relates to technology.
Yep. No, the one that interested me was the Hulu. It's can't wait to see what kind of commercials start flying through the Hulu platform here in the next couple months when smaller business with less budget, less dollars to make sweet videos. It'll be some pretty funny commercials, I think. So we'll see. Yeah, we will see. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Whether you're listening on podcasts, Apple, Spotify, you're tuned into our live stream, we do appreciate you guys. If you have something you want to bring to the world, check us out at ncnbroadcast.com. We want to help you tell your story and share our resources with you. And check us out on social media. If you want to leave us a review, you want to send us a story to discuss, we want to do that. So thank you guys for being with us. Thanks for tuning in. I'll take my W. See you guys Wednesday. He's going to sign off right after he says that. Try to end the show like that. Okay. Well, again, you've been tuned in to Non-Corporate Network. Worldwide Leadership and Entreprenews is the show, and we appreciate you guys. So we'll see you on Wednesday. See you Wednesday. Peace.